Alrighty. Before we get started, check out this Arabic dress that they found in this property. I feel like I'm playing Skyrim or something in person, even though I've never played the game actually. Anyhow, normally I wouldn't make a video on top of the hill like this, but there's no wind today. So it is absolutely still. Absolutely silent. A little bit of a breeze. But isn't it interesting? You know, for instance, when you're traveling in a car and you have the window down, then when you put the window back up, when you close the window, and there's this sense of complete silence. You know, it's very interesting when our lives were living so noisy, suddenly we get an insight, we get a glimpse into what it would be like if the noise disappeared. If we faced all of these noises in our life that we are creating constantly. You know, there's so many things and reasons to enjoy every day. Even the reasons that are difficult, right? Even the difficult things, even the challenging things. You can do challenging acts with a sense of reverence. And then there's no difficulty at all. Then this game that we are playing called life becomes fun. But again, that only comes with a mind that is silent, right? A mind that isn't drowning in noises. So that's why today we're going to talk again about minds that try or tell others to try shadow work or integration or meditation or any spiritual practice. A mind that sees itself as a separate entity that is doing spiritual practice, right? So telling someone to integrate or telling someone to do shadow work or trying to integrate or do shadow work yourself, it's a very questionable thing, because it's kind of like this. It's kind of like telling someone, become enlightened now or go become enlightened. Let's ask a few questions here. Who is this enlightened person? Is there an enlightened person in the state of enlightenment? Right? Is there this immense exaggeration on one who is fully attentive, or is there just attention? Because one has already removed his, dysfunctional intentions, that his intention is finally clear, right? He has a clear intention. And because of that, there's no I in enlightenment. So that's the question again. Who is this enlightened person? Who is going to try to become enlightened? There's the second question. Why is there a becoming? Enlightenment is not a gradual process. It's not a process of graduation. You don't just say one day, oh, I'm feeling very unaware, inattentive, unenlightened. And so in 2 days, I think if I follow this program of this enlightenment program, this enlightenment workshop, perhaps I'll become enlightened. Absurdo. No, that's not how it works. If that's how it works, why isn't everyone enlightened? So again, if we're going to tell someone, go do shadow work, go do integration, or I myself am saying, I'm integrating today, I'm doing shadow work today. Okay, but shadow work is every day, right? The process of enlightenment really is the process of living, which is no process at all, because process implies from here to there. But it's kind of like this. Before you even begin a task, while you're doing a task, and when a task is finished, there should be a sense of, I'll put it around the other way. Can you have a finished mind, a mind of finesse, right? A mind that is free of problems before you begin before you take on a problem, while you are solving the problem, and even after the problem is solved. Because, for instance, let's take that ending example. Sometimes when problems are solved, some people still have problems in their minds, right? Even after silence is reached, some people are still creating noise. So again, let's return to the original question. When I try to become enlightened, or try to do shadow work, or try to integrate, or try to tame the dragon, quote unquote, try to pummel the ego to the ground, right? Who is pummeling the ego to the ground? It is the ego. Who is training the dragon? It's the dragon. Who is trying to do the shadow work? It's the shadow. But that doesn't make any sense. How do you become thoughtless, right? Because the whole idea of taming the dragon or taming the ego is you trying to say, by doing some form of ambition-driven, will-driven action, that some 6 a.m. yoga or 6 a.m. meditation, I'm going to gradually disappear my ego. But again, all of these things are processes of the ego. You trying to get rid of the ego is an egotistical thing. This is the catch-22. This is probably where the catch-22 originates, right? Is a person trying to do shadow work or become enlightened. The moment you try to become enlightened, you are unenlightened. The moment you try to do your shadow work, and become integrated, you are an unintegrated soul. You are an unintegrated being. That doesn't mean don't do anything. Actually, in a sense it does. But that doesn't mean be lazy. But it means, again, remain with not doing anything about it. Trying to do something about your unenlightened state only furthers and worsens your enlightenment. So let's jump in. So again, when someone says go become enlightened or go do your shadow work, who is the person that goes to do the shadow work? There's your first question. Second question, who is going from unenlightened to enlightened, right? How is enlightenment a gradual process? And then we can compare this to hate and love, right? How do you go from violence and hate to a loving being person? You don't. These two things are totally unrelated, right? A person that is filled with love doesn't go be violent or participate in hateful activities, right? When someone says, I will become nonviolent, that whole process of becoming nonviolent is violence. Because there's a time interval, right? Same thing with trying to become integrated. There's a time at which, supposedly, right, you are unintegrated, and then you're going to reach integration. But this time interval is violence, is unintegration, right? Is the shadow, the dragon, the ego run amok? Because the whole time I'm trying to control it, it's not being, it's in chaos. So the whole idea of control, the whole idea of one person that achieves and becomes enlightenment is fallacy. I hope you see that, right? In enlightenment, there is no me who becomes enlightened. There is no becoming enlightenment. There is no time, right? Enlightenment is not a process of time. It's not a process in the time sense at all. And again, there is no exaggerated ego that says, I have, vanquished with my conquest as a knight who slayed the dragon, who slayed my own ego, and now I am egoless. Those people are the most egotistical, who say they have conquered the ego because they've missed what it means to be enlightened. They're no longer even watching their ego, right? So they have this overgrown sense of lack of humility, sense of I'm enlightened and you're not, kind of a feel. That's not enlightenment, folks. Enlightenment is an inquiry, is a questioning, is a is a dialogue we do together out of love. There's no sense of push or pull, right? It's an examination of things that are, not how I want to see them, not my opinion of them, not how I agree or disagree on certain subjects. This is all chump change. This is all a waste of time when it comes to what is really enlightenment. What does it mean to enlighten oneself at every second of the way, at every moment, at every point of now? What does it mean to enlighten oneself constantly, to refresh the frame every single moment, second, state of being? Because this is the thing, folks. Most people, as they live, there is no refreshing. Their frame is an old frame. So they're lost, right? They can never take in something new. They can never tackle a new problem because, again, they're stuck on a previous problem. So enlightenment is not something you do in the past and then I'm done. Now I can delve into my vices. Enlightenment is something you do or you don't do every single second, every single, I want to say time, but second and time you can't even describe, right? Enlightenment you can't even describe in terms of second and time. Enlightenment is now, is what I'm trying to say. And most people, by trying to become enlightened, are already escaped from the now. They think by escaping from the now, they'll get a shortcut to enlightenment. And this is what I'm saying, is in the now, there is no I that becomes enlightened. There is no becoming, nor is there a I. Now that's a little bit cryptic, so let's go into that. What does it mean when there is no longer an exaggerated and overgrown thought parasite program that is I? That is this I who wants to better itself through spiritual processes and spiritual concepts of what it means to become enlightened, or what it means to do shadow work, all of these things. Because again, there is no separative process in enlightenment. And let's switch the words. Attention. There is no me separate from attention. Attention is, right? And when there's attention within the whole community, that community is essentially merging, right? It's kind of like this. If you're choosing to be attentive, that's focus. That's not attention. There's an exclusionary, separative process going on. But attention itself doesn't exclude anything. It sees the whole picture. It doesn't need to have someone, talking in someone's ear and only looking in terms of one particular way. It looks at the entire diagram, the entire realm of endeavor. I was using that word a lot in the last video. The entire board, right? The whole thing. It looks at everything whole, right? It can't look at things in pieces. That's what thought does, right? So a look that is enlightened, a looking or a seeing that is enlightened, that is fully attentive, there can't be the me that is saying, I have reached attention. You see what I'm saying? It's whole. So basically the me is clear. Thought is clear. It's done. And because it's done, now you can see wholly, right? And there's no you that's saying, but now there is seeing that is whole, right? When there is seeing that is impartial, it's always to do with me, my endeavors, my reaching enlightenment, my becoming, my graduating, my going to school and, coming out unlearned or coming in unlearned and coming out learned. All this process. See, you can't go to school for enlightenment, right? So what does that mean? Again, a whole looking, being wholly attentive, giving your entire intensity and being to something is living and learning in the moment. You live and you learn, right? So there's no idea. There's no separative process. There is no process at all. There is no time at all. Right? A learning that is timeless is enlightenment. There we hit it on the head. A learning that is totally unrelated to time. That's why real attention is timeless. It doesn't matter if time is going by, if there is real attention. So let's go deeper into this. So yeah, again, people are experts in yoga, in what type of yoga is best, and what kind of breathing is the best. People are experts in meditation. Transcendental meditation, kundalini yoga, experts in how to tame the dragon, how to slay the dragon. All these concepts and these fairy tales of how you must conquer your own thoughts. People are experts in shadow work, experts on how to integrate the Carl Jung's idea of integration and the unconscious. But they're still eating shit. These experts are still eating acid. They're still harming their own organism. They're harming their own body. And they're telling you how to live symbiotically with nature. They're telling you how to live one with the world when they don't even know what the world is. They're harming themselves, therefore harming the world, yet they're preaching about this meditation yoga, 6 a.m., It's just hilarious. That is blasphemy in its original form, folks. It's not about calling Jesus or Muhammad names. It's not about, tarnishing the image that religion and man has created. No. True blasphemy is, again, talking about meditation, talking about shadow work, talking about integration, talking about taming the dragon, talking about taking no thought, talking about all these things, but still eating cyanide. That is blasphemy, because you are disrespecting your body. You are disrespecting the earth by participating in poison, and then with your poisonous mouth speaking of all these enlightened concepts. People are so funny, So yeah, we're a genius in spiritual concepts, but we never live them. We just talk about them. Right? So this is essentially what propaganda and violence and really fear is peace when I'm talking about peace when I am not peaceful. That's the funniest thing one can do, right? So again, there can be no sense of this dualism involved, right? Of this I eat shit on one hand, but I talk about shitless living on the other. Right? I talk about clean living, but at the same time, I live dirty. And I'm talking about in a psychological sense, right? I have dirt on my hands all the time, but I'm just saying, some people preach about having a clean mind, yet they're already poisoning and contaminating and polluting their own organism. Come on, folks. Isn't this 2023? I can't even believe it's 2023. And we're still running around in samsaric circles here? Absurd. Just absolutely crazy. So yeah, if there is choice in shadow work, it is not shadow work at all. One does not choose, quote unquote, choose to do shadow work. One does not think to take no thought. These are both redundant processes, egotistical processes, overgrown me, overgrown I processes. Right? The whole idea of choice to do shadow work implies a chooser versus what is chosen, implies a separation versus me, who is going to reach this idea of enlightenment, this idea of doing shadow work. So shadow work is beyond 6 a.m. yoga, 7 a.m. meditation, 8 p.m. prayer. You know, it's beyond all of this regimented thought, oriented, repetitive, mechanical. You can't become enlightened through mechanical processes. Or at least you can't try to become enlightened in mechanical processes. It's one thing if you do mechanical processes with a stillness and kind of a enlightened outlook, so that you don't let the mechanical process limit you in that mechanical sense. But going about trying to do these mechanical activities to reach something that is not mechanical at all is futile. Yeah, so 6 a.m. meditation, 6 a.m. yoga doesn't make you better than other people. It's still your choice. It's still your choosing. So if everyone could just choose to do their shadow work, everyone would be integrated. But so far, I don't see many integrated people. I'll just be completely honest with you. There are people that are slightly more integrated than others, right? But yeah, so if everyone could choose to be enlightened, everyone would be enlightened. So that already disproves the idea that there is choice in enlightenment. So enlightenment is no choice at all. Attention is no choice at all. When you are confronted with the facts and you don't escape, escaping the facts is choice. Becoming inattentive and doing degenerative things like eating poison and eating acid and eating these grains that God didn't give, eating these fruits that God didn't give, is your choice. Eating carcass, eating blood is your choice. It's not God's fault that you're eating things that cause degeneration within the body. That's your choice. Because if you were to look at the facts without a choice, again, if you were to just look, it would be choiceless. I would see the facts that are presented. Okay, cooked food is not as good as raw food, but at least if I eat cooked foods that are made by God, I won't be poisoning myself. Okay, I see that. So if I want to heal, I probably want to eat fruit. I probably want to eat herbs, again, that are undergoing iontophoresis, that aren't hybrids, that have seed. Okay, I see. Okay, so then I'll do that. I don't have a choice. You see? If I had a choice, I would be eating McDonald's every day like I used to. Yeah? If I had a choice, I'd be eating steaks. I'd be eating, marinated meat. I'd be eating egg. I'd be eating chips. But why don't I do it? Don't do it because I realize now, yes, I can choose to do it, but if I want to look at the facts completely, if I want to confront my organism completely, if I want to be responsible, I don't have a choice. Which means integration that is organic is completely unintentional. Let me repeat that. Integration and shadow work that is real, that is living and learning, that is now, is unintentional. As the word that was brought up recently, inadvertent. Only then, only when integration is without a choice, is it complete. Because if I am choosing to integrate, that is coming from a disintegrated, incomplete, impartial, broken, fragmented mind. A fragmented soul who is trying to become integrated, who is trying to preach about these spiritual concepts and still eating shit. So many people have trouble grasping this. Just as I was speaking of, with the absence of wind here, many people can't live with stillness. And because they're always distressed, always shaken, always shook. They always have to fix something. You see what I'm saying? Not that you can't fix things, but I'm saying that this compulsive, obsessive, trying to fix everyone, fix everything, never having a sense of, wow, everything is already provided, everything is already fixed. From there, I make minor improvements. From the mind of stillness, from a mind that is not so unstable and uncertain, from there, now I tackle the problems and I fix things here and there. But before tackling the problem, you have to be free of the problem. You have to, before going into noise and a distressful location, you have to be still. So in this sense, again, people have trouble with this, but living with full intention, or full attention, sorry, is without a choice, is without thought, is unintentional again. Because if thought is trying to live fully, that very trying to live fully, and that trial of trying to become a state of being that lives fully, stops it from doing so. Again, like Alan Watts said, trying to get rid of the ego is a very egotistical enterprise. People come to find this out. So many people have trouble just looking, really, just seeing, just being attentive, just being fully aware of what they're doing and who they are. And because of this, I see many people that only live for themselves, which is not a bad thing, right? But it's kind of like they live for themselves so much that they don't have the sense of compassion for others. So really, they're not even compassionate towards themselves, right? They're poisoning themselves, and in poisoning themselves, they poison others. But they think, because of their selfish complex, that they can, by living through their selfish means of themselves, that they're going to be okay, even if the humanity at large is not okay. What I'm implying here is that if you live completely, yourself is obliterated. So just by you living completely, you will already help the world. By already helping yourself, by already living without a choice, living without thought. I mean, you can think, but I'm just saying, living free of the process of thought, living free of the selfish, profit, incentive motivated, intention motivated, right? By living free of this, you're already living one with the world. And when you live one with the world, I really think this world in its natural state is giving, is compassionate, is loving, is nurturing, right? So that will be implied and reflected in your daily actions. So you won't have to be speaking of compassion. You will live it. You will act it. Every single thing you do will have the taste and the ingredient of compassion, of care, of love in it. When you speak, when you think, when you listen, everything, when you chop wood, when you make tea, when you juice oranges, whatever it is you're doing, when you're cooking food, when you're preparing for the community, everything will have a taste of love in it. And this is what most people are missing. Why? Because they're endlessly seeking for this love. And the very seeking for this love shows that they are impoverished in this love. By trying to become someone that is abundant, they're already impoverished. So one more time, folks, abundance is not something you become. You are or you are not. Love is not something you become. You're either a loving person or you are not. And every second of the day, I don't want to say choice, but you have the option of being hateful, resentful, not loving, selfish, profit motivated. And then you have the other route, which is no choice at all. Being a loving person to me is not a choice. I don't have an option. I must live one with the world. I must live symbiotically with the world, or else there's no point to all of this. There's no point in being here if I can't live in harmony. I don't want to be here if I'm only going to be in cacophony. So I have to do something about my selfish existence. But then I come to realize me trying to do something about my selfishness is selfish. So I remain with this self, with this being. I look at it in the mirror with a complete reflection. I give my whole intensity, my whole brightness, my whole being, my whole attention on my own actions. And in so doing, something will change. I don't have to try to change it. Just remaining with what I am, with who I am, with what I am doing, there is your shadow work. You're not really doing anything, right? Again, the best way to observe something, like when you're trying to find your animal on the hill, like your pet on the hill that's next to you, the best way to look for something is to be still. Again, the best way to look at yourself in the mirror is to not have all this noise and all this movement that distracts you from the mirror. Because even in psychological studies, they've shown if there's a mirror in the room and that you can see yourself, you're a lot less likely to be disgusting to others because you don't want to see the disgustingness of yourself. So can we go through life always intensely reflecting wholly looking at that mirror, seeing ourselves completely. And in seeing ourselves completely, we finish with the idea of ourselves completely. Here is the end of the I, the end of the me. Every second of the day, I look at the mirror so completely. I'm so finished with the idea of me, with the images I create about myself, with the idea of godship that I create of myself, that I'm some kind of a god or all these kinds of things, right? All these thoughts that I create, I finish with them, I slay them. There is no I that slays them, but let me use that phrase for now. I'm done with them, I see them, and I'm completely done looking at them. Therefore, they die on their own. So each moment of the day, the now is immediate death and revival. This is living and learning. I realize I made a mistake. Instantly, I correct my actions, and I learn from that mistake. You live and you learn. But most people don't have this. You see what I'm saying? They can't learn in the moment instantly. So they're stuck. And once you're stuck, all you're thinking of is, oh, I'm hurt. Oh, I didn't get enough. Again, I'm impoverished. It's like my psychological state is impoverished. The state of abundance isn't concerned with poverty, right? The state of abundant being just keeps on living and learning with an immense power, an immense passion, an immense fortitude, and nothing can stop him or her. Why? That is love. Love has no choice. When I love a girl, right? When I look at a girl and I'm attracted to her, I don't have a choice. Okay? If I look by and someone really pulls me in, right? Or in the same sense, if a woman is already dating another guy, I don't have that choice. That's that guy's girl. So I try not even to look at her. I try to give that respect. Because again, I know in the same sense of if I'm attracted to someone, I don't have a choice. So in the same sense, love, you don't have a choice in love. Choice is hate. Choosing to look at someone in a certain way, in a certain intention, in a certain fashion is hate, is discriminatory, is focus, is concentration, is stress, is effort. Just looking at someone without trying to change them at all, just looking without a choice is love. Attention is choiceless. And in that sense, it is complete. Once I introduce choice, there is a taste of incomplete. I covered a lot of things without even looking down, eh? So yeah, let me just check real quick and see if we're doing good. I think we're doing great. This is actually turning out to be a long one, but it's important stuff, so it's good. Because this is probably the most important thing, because like what I'm talking about here, not that what I'm talking about is important, but this idea of how people hide behind spiritual concepts. Because now that there's a lot of spiritual communities and intentional communities and people that are awake, starting to think in these terms, you have to have a sense of sobriety even in these spiritual concepts, right? So many people are drunk on ideas of meditation, ideas of shadow work, ideas of integration, all of these things. So someone, somewhere, somebody needs to come clear this up. And so it just happens to be no one. It just happens to be nobody that comes in and says, who is this person that is enlightened? Is there a I? Is there an idea of me? Is there an image-making process in enlightenment at all? Or is the image-making process fear? Is the one who comes in and says, I am going to become enlightened, isn't that person a fearful, separated, divisive process individual, a divisive being that pretends like its sickness, its impoverishment is some kind of privilege? So this lack mindset, this poverty mindset, this problem-ridden mind is contagious, is the only contagion that exists. If there was no fear, there would be no hate, there would be no war, there would be no sickness. There would be no impoverishment in the mind, which is the body. Let's not see these things as separation. When I am impoverished in the mind, I pollute the body. Because I don't see that, again, it is futile to live outside of the rules of the universe, which include anatomy, anatomical obviousness. We are in a primate body, and when we don't have an absence of food around us, we don't go eating these poisonous things. So again, fear, lack, poverty, and a problem-ridden mind, a problem-ridden consciousness is so contagious. So we have to be careful. We have to watch ourselves. We have to watch our fears. We have to watch our thoughts of lack, right? Obviously, there's no one that is watching, but watch. Be attentive, right? Just see, just look at everything, the good, bad, and the ugly. Because only then can you tackle this contagion. Can you tackle this virus? Can you tackle this inflamed sense of me, this inflammation? And you can tackle this without effort. Sickness is effort, folks. This is what people don't get. Living incomplete, eating things that don't align with who I am, creates effort in the body. It's full of effort. It's full of dis-ease. What's easy is to confront all the problems and rid them at once. There is your meditation. Is to face every single problem, every single effort, every single exaggerated sense of me that is trying to become enlightened, and see the pointlessness and the futility of it. Why am I trying to become enlightened? Why am I so impoverished in the mind that I am trying to become spiritual? Am I not already a spiritual existence that is one with the world? Who is this me that is separate from the world that is trying to achieve unity consciousness? So true sickness, folks, is a choice. We're back here again, right? So choice in itself is not bad. But if you think that you can choose to become unsick, right? If you think you have a choice in the matter, right? That you can choose to eat shit, to have shit thoughts, and to keep doing shitty things. If you think you can choose that, by all means. We're all sovereign beings here, quote unquote sovereign, right? Because even in the word sovereignty is implied peace. I was talking about this with another person. Peace is not different from sovereignty. Love is not different from sovereignty, right? Because a non-peaceful mind, a non-loving mind harms others. And if you harm others, you're not sovereign. You don't even know what it means to be sovereign. You don't even know what natural law is, which is a negative, negating principle, right? No one has to say to you these implicit rules and laws because it's obvious. In sovereignty, there is peace. In sovereignty, there is intelligence. In sovereignty, there is love. So a sovereign mind isn't concerned with attacking another. A sovereign mind isn't so defensive. However, it will defend a unnecessary attack coming to it adequately, proportionately, and with equal and opposite force. But sovereignty in itself is forceless, is without a force, right? Again, with the whole Star Wars thing, be with the force. Evil is always trying to force things. Very rapey. Good has no force. Right? Because good has no inflammation, exaggerated dis-ease, ego that's trying to force things. That's evil's get-go. That's evil's method of propaganda, of fear, of indoctrination, of intense effort, of concentration, focus. All of these things, trying to integrate the ego. That's evil's job. Good isn't doing anything, really. Is nothing. Is the absence, just like love, true love is the absence of ambition. Is the absence of me versus you, comparison, competition. I do this better than you, all of this kinds of stuff. Love is harmony. See, that doesn't mean that ambition itself is bad. It's just love completely realizes the futility of ambition. I hope that's clear too. But again, so true sickness is a choice. Sickness is choice. If you realized you don't have a choice, you would be abundant and not sick and healed. But because you think you have a choice in the matter, you will remain sick. Because you think you can choose to be attentive at one time and choose to meditate at one time, and at another time you're completely unattentive and you're eating shit. I think we're getting to the end of this video here, but you get the idea, right? That when choice isn't put in its right place, it's over. If you think you can integrate your ego whenever you choose to, just like your 6 a.m. meditation, you are fooling yourself. You are a fool of a tuk. But when you come to realize that integration, attention, looking at myself in the mirror completely is without choice. I don't have a choice. I must live with my own actions and the consequence of my own actions completely and die to them every single second of the way. When you see that without a choice. You see that attention doesn't have choice in it. I am attentive or I am not. And choice is what leads me away from it. It leads me away from attention, leads me away from clarity. When I look at things clearly, I look at things without choice, without a thought in the matter. But of course, after I look at things without a choice, sometimes, you choose. I'm not saying choice is bad. I'm just saying all bad things come out of bad choices. And we could really end things there, but let's see if I have anything more. So the biggest mistake is not learning from your mistake. The biggest fail, the biggest fall is not getting up from it. The most dangerous kind of fear is being petrified from it, petrified by it. Why? Because you're always trying to run from it. So it incapacitates you. It disables you. If you can feel fear and face it, work through it, look at fear in the eye, look at yourself, look at the inflamed me in the eye and say, or don't say anything. Because if you were to say something, that would be the fear, ego, So just look at it. And, oftentimes when people are mad or, they're what do you call it, distressed, if you just listen to them, oftentimes they'll discharge all of their negativity out. Just by having someone who's unshaken, unmoved, listen to all the problems, the problem-ridden person oftentimes will just get it all out. So in the same sense, fear is not bad. It's not being able to face it and move on. So not being able to die to your fear, always trying to survive from your fear. You see the paradox involved in here? Always trying to run from your fear, never face it, and always live hiding from your fear is what petrifies you, what keeps you stuck, what keeps you impoverished. If you were able to look at your fear, if you were able to fall and get back up, if you were able to make a mistake and take life on again, right? Learn from the mistake in the moment, living and learning, then fear is the greatest gift of all. Pain is the greatest gift of all. Because, again, how do you know the body is functioning well? When there is no pain. How do you know when you're doing something wrong? When there is pain. So pain really is a blessing in disguise. But people don't see it that way. People see pain as some kind of a sentence that they have to live through. People don't see that, if I get the mark of Cain, the mark of pain, that I can just do my time, I can just, alkalize the body, alkalize the mind, and be still, and look at myself and face myself, and look at my pain, look at my fear, and watch it dissolve away on its own. But people don't want to look at their fear. People don't want to look at their pain. People want to run from it. People want to eat McDonald's. People want to eat cheese. People want to eat dairy. People want to eat all this shit, processed junk. People want to clean with trash. People want to put perfume on. People want to put makeup on. People want to do all these things that destroy their body. People don't want to learn from their mistakes. And to those people, all I have to say is, I can't help you. I can't help those who can't help themselves. But if you help yourself, you're helping me. So if I can help myself, I will help you. It's very simple. So yeah, being able to die immediately to your fear, to your false image, right? Living with this burning passion, this intensity of fire, right? Because what does fire do? That's why I think pine is so interesting, because the pine tree needs fire to live, right? You might as well call the pine tree the pineal tree, the spine tree. You might as well call the pine tree the fire tree, or the phoenix tree. This phoenix tree, observe it, see it. In destroying itself, or in destroying the aspects of itself that it doesn't need, as the lower branches fall and burn away, as it drops the pine for the fire, in destroying itself, it revives and lives completely. It comes back, it's born out of fire. And this is the idea of purification, right? So to bring attention to my own inadequacy, to bring attention to my own impoverished state of thinking and being, immediately I die to that image that I've created of myself, that fear-based, inflamed, inflamed sense of me, I die to it instantly, and therefore I am mucus free and I have clarity. Yeah? So to live right means to die immediately to everything, which means to learn completely, to look at things completely, to look at things whole, to look at things without a choice. Thinking is a choice. In the same sense, if you eat shit, you think shit, right? Eating and thinking shit is your choice. Poverty, an impoverished mind, an impoverished soul is a choice. You have to think in terms of impoverishment to stay impoverished. But if you can just remain with your thoughts and not constantly try to add thoughts to the whole cacophony, this disastrous combination, perhaps those thoughts will burn themselves away like a pine tree and come out fresher, newer, better, without an idea of trying to become better. That's the best. A better being, a better person is one who is not trying to be better than others. There's no idea of better in someone who just lives better. You know what I mean? It's the ultimate paradox. When you stop trying to be enlightened, I won't say the rest. So a champion dies immediately to every single action, every single moment, every single movement, and is born immediately after dying immediately to the action. And in doing so, he becomes the movement of humility. Again, a humble man, the state of humility, I think, is rebirth, which implies death. Again, which implies a space to learn, a space to be proven wrong. Most people don't have the ability to be proven wrong. The reason why I'm here, the reason why I love Sebi, the reason why I love Christian Murdy is because, to be honest, guys, I love being proven wrong. I mean, maybe the self or the me hates it, but in the end, I realize it's the best thing for me. So prove me wrong. Prove yourself wrong. You question all of your rigid, structured beliefs of spiritual concepts, of everything. Question everything. And in questioning everything, the image you create of yourself must die, and you will be born as a champion in humility. Because you'll realize in meditation, there is no I. An I in meditation, an I in integration is poverty. So again, as I say to you, question yourself and question everything, question others, question the world. This is something you must do, not something you can just talk about. You must live this. That's again why I prefer to make less and less videos, because I'm too busy living my video. I'm too busy living the content of my life and dying to it. But once in a while, I do like to share to the family at large, to you beautiful people who can understand this language. Many people can't understand this language of choicelessness, really. The path of least resistance, the path of wind, the path of water. All concepts burning away like fire, but at the same time down to earth. So don't need me to correct you. Don't need to watch my videos to do the right thing. So in the same sense, You must go out and do and see choicelessly without any help. You must leave the nest and fly. Because there is no option. You gotta fly. Fly, you fools. So live with that sense of not needing to be told what to do. Live with the sense of I don't have a choice but to do what's right. If I'm choosing to do what's right, that's wrong. Another catch-22. If I choose to be good, I am bad. But when I have no choice in being bad, when I have no choice but to be good, that is real goodness. Because that means I have pruned every bad inclination that is in me. Instead of going about trying to look to be good, trying to look to do charity, trying to look to do what do you call it? Philanthropy. I'm mixing up that word. Philanthropic. Anyhow, instead of trying to be philanthropic, look at that which is unintegrated and face it and remain with it. Sit with it. Sit with confusion. Sit with the incomplete aspects of oneself. Sit with the, if you do have any, sit with those evil tendencies. And in sitting with those tendencies, good flowers. It's not you escape from the evil and then you run to good concepts. You face the shadow, and in facing the shadow and doing nothing, good must flower. It must. Because if you see evil through completely and totally, what is there? Nothing. Because evil is a whole lot of something, a whole lot of noise. So we're coming full circle here, right, to the start of the video. Be able to look at yourself without noise. Be able to look at your own reflection in the mirror completely without distraction, without blemish, without distortion. And when you can look at yourself without distortion, perhaps then you will be good. That's it, folks. See the facts. No need to agree or disagree or have opinions. Just see the facts without choice. No need to agree or disagree and be fanatic and develop denominations and develop religions. Just look. The good, bad, and the ugly. Just look.